It's too late.
Oh, we're broadcasting.
Oh no!
Good, Brian.
Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Anton.
And I'm Frederick Philip Von Weiss, and you are consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology that love what they do
And do web good.
Ha! And we are talking today with Chris Lorenzo.
Hi.
Yeah, and John. I'm going to brutalize your name. Fuck. Riviello.
Riviello.
That's what I said. You heard it.
You didn't say ravioli at least.
No,
sometimes.
ravioli.
Like
Tortellini.
No A in my name.
I would own that. I would be. I am John Ravioli.
Yeah.
Mr. Ravioli to you, sir.
That's right.
Only if we go to an Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
We call them
Yeah,
ravioli.
bring me the Riviello. What? Yeah.
That's awesome. And you guys already spoke today.
We did.
Yeah.
We're done, so
relaxed
we're nice
now.
and relaxed.
Oh, good. Yeah, I bet you're ready to kick back, have a cocktail, chill out.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Nice. Do you mind telling our audience a little bit about you guys, what you do? And I know you both work at Comcast, so.
That's true. Yeah, I'll start off. So yeah, I've been at Comcast for 10 years. Chris was a few weeks behind me starting there. We've been doing front-end web development the whole time we've been there. Most recently, we've been doing a lot of stuff with Polymer and web components. I can blame Chris for that, but that's what we were talking about today.
Certainly.
Yeah, but love, front-end development, web performance. I was a designer in a previous life. Just love it all. So happy to be
My life is over now. Now he works with me.
Yeah.
It's like, and I basically do the same thing as him. We're developers who build awesome websites for Comcast and applications in general.
So is the main website Polymer, or what is Polymer? Just
So a few of them are. So the Xfinity Home was one that Chris worked on originally that was built with Polymer.
Okay.
We recently worked together on XFi, which I know you guys have seen that XFi commercial where the mom pauses the internet and then like the kids magically just happily come to dinner and that just
They have
doesn't.
nothing else to do anymore.
Yeah.
it is magic.
Yeah. So that was built with Polymer, and then
Okay.
also we have X1. So the web version of X1 where you can actually watch TV on your laptop. It's built with
Okay.
Polymer as well.
Oh, that's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, so some pretty futuristic stuff coming out of Comcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, do you guys mind sharing a little bit about what you actually spoke about today?
Sure. So I was speaking about Polymer-Powered design systems, and the idea behind that is basically there's the concept of design systems, which basically allows you to go ahead and you need a way to communicate what you're doing with design across an organization. But then there's also implementing that design.
I'm with you. Keep going.
Yeah.
So there's material design, which is great because you've got hundreds of people that made like the Angular way to do it and the React way to do it, but we are not using material design. We're using our own design standards that our team built. So with something like Polymer and web components, you actually create something without a framework and then use that design language across any project, regardless of the framework, which is a huge win there.
Yeah.
Which is why we really believe in Polymer and especially web components. That's really the big win there. And that's what we were trying to just get the message across with my talk.
Yep. And with my talk, it was decoupling with Google Polymer. So I really talked about decoupling a lot, which is the essence of when you're programming to break things down into small pieces so that those small pieces can be reused.
Yeah.
And that's a great concept for web components because web components are made to be reused across all the web platform. And it's the same concept as John of being able to build buttons and build small components which you can take from one site and reuse on multiple sites. And for a large company like Comcast, that pays a huge dividends so that you don't have to create the button 1,000 times with all the teams.
Yes, sir.
Which ends up costing millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And it's like you have one team building some components that all the teams can use, and then you
and then rebuilding it, there's bound to be like 2 or 3 guys who are like, okay, this one's going to be 13 pixels instead of 16.
Mm-hmm.
we outline that with the dots.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe there was a reason you to do that, and that's like I talked about for example.
There's no reason.
I know.
Like, for that there's not.
Do it.
Yeah.
But like focus states weren't defined in our original style guides. Like so then every team solves focus states. It's like one team did a really good job. So
accessibility is
and
different.
around and
There's shrubs that get introduced that you get fixed one time in one place, and everybody gets those updates. It's great.
So we just got really angry, and then
it forces UX to be like, oh, this is what a button looks like. I can't modify this at all because it's already built.
Yeah, that's a great point because it's not only saving so much money because you have such a large team. It's also you got to think about the design, the look, the experience. There's so much in that, and I mean, how would you even argue against it?
You can't.
Yeah.
Just don't. We're done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Web components.
Yeah.
It's already built.
Do you guys follow something similar to Brad Frost's or really anyone's design system? I mean, Brad Frost.
Brad Frost. I don't know. Johnny, have you heard of Brad Frost before?
But where you have
How many times did you reference that?
Yeah. Oh, did you realize? Yeah, we talked to him. He's awesome guy.
This is my last quote for Brad Frost.
Yeah, but so you do, right? I guess.
He's from Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, he's from Pittsburgh.
He's from Pittsburgh, so
Yeah.
same state. Like we practically are best friends with him.
Oh, that's so funny.
He's like our next door
Well,
neighbor.
good. We'll let him know we talked to you. He'll be really excited.
Yeah.
So how exactly do you address that within yours?
So basically, like he talks about the holy grail of a design system, where you basically make a change to the design system, and then that magically updates like your pattern library and your websites and web apps, and that is what web components give you. So that's why it was kind of driving home the fact that like when you make a decision that's design related, if you update the code that's being used for the design system and the sites, then it's so easy to use. Like it's harder to not use it once you've done that. Like we've created all these components, it's just the barrier to entry is not there, and it's harder. If you want to go against that, you're making more work for yourself.
Well, I think sometimes you get people that might not even understand what they're doing with that. So maybe they might go into there and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to try something a little different. Or like you said, I'm going to change the font size from 13 to 14 because I feel like it. I feel like it needs it there. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
So you guys are then doing a living design system, which when you update it, it updates everywhere.
Yeah.
So has there been any problems with that?
We're getting to that.
Right. Yeah. That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
We're moving there.
I think the big push
So you're
is like,
there. Great.
Yeah.
you're never ever there.
Yeah. Right.
I think the big point in John's talk was like you need a team to do it. You need engineers who own it, who then are communicating
And
to the rest of the organization.
Yeah.
Designers and engineers who build this core component library and then just say, here, everybody. It's all together. It's here in the universe, and just go use it.
Now, is there a reason you guys chose, well, other than this guy,
Yeah.
Polymer over anything else?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Do you want me to
So
why
Sell Polymer.
Why Polymer?
Yeah.
So Polymer was like the first web components, right? Because they started, they got the ball rolling. And that's really when we got on board was with Polymer.3. So we were really early adopters.
Yeah.
Xfinity Home actually went out to production with like the 0.56 version. So we were before the 1.0 when it was still experimental as Taylor. But since then, like the web development has like started up a bunch of different projects which are using it with like Skate.js is pretty awesome. So there are other ones that we want to consider and use, and we even write vanilla web components that are not taking advantage of any of them. And one of the projects that we're also a part of is the Elix project, which is building web components.
Elix.org.
Elix.org. And if you're interested in building vanilla components, Elix.org gives you examples of how to do that and has a lot of mix-ins for very basic things. So you can take some of their very tiny mix-ins and just apply it to your custom element to get data binding or attribute binding, etc. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and there's great accessibility examples that have already been taken care of.
Oh, that's so cool.
I would say Polymer, another advantage, similar to where Angular is going, where it's more like elix.org or however you say that, where it's closer to being web components as opposed to I'm React, I'm my own thing. I don't care if there's some standard, I'm just doing it my way. So I mean that's one advantage too, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, and I think the big reason you'll see is a lot of the frameworks need to be broken down and decoupled into smaller components because mobile is now the big thing, and you need much smaller frameworks to be able to work on these platforms that don't have the performance that you have on desktop.
Yeah, that's a huge point. Yeah. Very.
But my iPhone's as fast as a MacBook.
And Alex Russell would say that you have a first world problem, right? Like, like not everybody in the world has the iPhone X.
Yes,
and
that's
the
very
Pixel
true.
2.
That's very true.
They have the Moto G4, which has this like old Snapdragon that runs at the processor level of an Intel 100 megahertz.
My old Toshiba notebook.
Yeah, it's just incredibly slow.
My old desktop.
Right.
So if you want to kill the battery on a phone, just download Angular and let it run a couple times. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So how did you guys get into this? How did you guys get into development?
Wow. So that goes back. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been real lucky on that. So
I learned to ride a bike.
yeah, it was back in like the 90s. I remember like when the internet came about and like AOL and Prodigy, it's like,
Oh yeah.
you see websites, it's like, I want to see how they're doing this thing, view source, make that happen. And then it was really weird. I was working like doing AV help for like religious education. And then like the owner or the person in charge of that was like, oh, my husband has a company and they need a website. So could you help him out? I'm like, sure. So like I was building websites for a ribbon company in the 90s. So I know more about ribbon than you should ever know, but I'm just in the world. So then I went to school for design, and then I've been doing web development, web design ever since. And still ecstatic to be doing it.
Nice.
Cool.
And me, when I was a kid, my dad brought home a computer that he bought, and they were really expensive when I was a kid, right? It was like $2,000 for this really slow old dog.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Mine was $4,000. So
Yeah. And we would set it up.
Mine was
and then,
better.
Yeah.
Then my dad would be like, "Don't touch it. You just can't."
So
use
of
it."
course
I'm
you
like,
touched
okay,
it.
whatever. So the years went by, and then another machine came home, which I was allowed to play with, and I opened up the lid, and for some reason I was playing with the wires, and smoke came out of it.
Why would you do that?
I told you not to touch these things.
Yeah, smoke came
Why
out
would
of
you
it.
open it up?
Like your dad probably put something there so it actually would cause the
Yeah.
smoke to happen.
No, if you put power cables in the wrong places, like in the wrong.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
But luckily, that introduced me to a friend, Gordo, who taught me about computers and got me into the hardware and running servers and stuff. He worked in it and kind of got the ball rolling of like, wow,
Oh,
computers are
Gordo,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, my buddy Gordo. Gordo, this is to you, buddy.
you know it, man.
So he got me interested, got me passionate about it, and then I went to college for computer science and been doing it ever since. I've been with Comcast for 10 years.
Oh wow, you've been there a while.
Basically, I graduated college, had like 1 or 2 small gigs, and then Comcast.
Nice.
And I've been doing it ever since.
I don't think they'll let you leave at this point.
No.
No.
It's like a Hotel California thing.
I've checked in. Both of us have checked in, and now
You
it's,
can never leave.
we get 4
Yeah.
weeks of vacation, and it's like,
They keep
wow,
us
you
pretty
can't.
happy.
You can't
Well, yeah,
can't
there
do
you
4 weeks
go.
of vacation.
That's
Oh,
cool.
that's nice.
Well, it's nice to know
Do you
that
ever
like
take
you're at a
We never get
you're at a
paid.
place that you love
It's like,
so much, and you get to do what you love to do, and you're like, why would I even consider going anywhere? Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, it's such a great place to work. I mean, I work with John. We
Mhm.
used to share an office. Like, I actually just moved across
We
the
did.
street, and that was
Think you're better than me or something
that
like
was
that? I don't
really
know.
that was really sad. Yeah.
His ego was too big for the office.
Yeah, I was like,
Go.
John, we have to spread the web component
Yeah.
love to everyone else, and if we're together, we can only reach half the people. So I was like, okay, we need to separate, and then
You jumped in that
share it
way.
out. Yeah.
So that's
Makes
how.
sense.
Yeah, I was kind of my next question. How did you get to the point where you're actually selling the Polymer components? Because at an organization, unless someone up high is like, we will do this. Generally, it's hard to get things to change.
Yeah, it's hard to be an influencer
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that.
So how did that come about?
Our executives like just go into meetings and like, Google Polymer can solve this.
Yeah.
Google Polymer.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and now
you sold it so well in the beginning. Just
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
you're
Oh, it
doing
was their
awesome stuff
idea.
with it.
Gotcha.
Oh, you made it. Okay.
And now
Yeah.
We're
Very
going to
good.
share stuff. There's this idea here that might make it happen. Yes, we want to share things.
and
Yeah.
every
You just slide a note on
Yeah.
the executive's desk and be
Yeah,
like,
this is your idea.
they're all about sharing components, and
That's cool.
everything is like,
Wow.
we need to share this.
Good
we
job,
need to reuse it
Comcast.
over and over again.
fix your other stuff.
Yeah, they were like, well, if we build components once and we can put it on multiple sites, like that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
Features can be built once. You don't need all these teams building the same thing. You can build it once and give it to other teams. It's like, this is incredible.
Yeah. It's
Like-
a no-brainer. Yeah.
I'm feeling so conflicted.
How many more features can we get out? And
Yeah.
get stuff done.
I'm feeling very conflicted right now because I don't like Comcast, but I love what you're talking about. So
Get over it,
good
Brian.
job. Good job with that.
I love
the
Comcast.
service.
My man.
What? I just have had bad problems with their service, and it's not necessarily Comcast.
We
all
have
the
make it
time.
right cards that we will
Yeah.
give you after this that you can contact if you have a problem. They will make it right.
I think a lot of it though is just the location. I mean, you can't fix bad wiring in a house.
Yeah, you're kind
That's
of,
true.
Yeah, I mean, those are problems that
Yeah.
any company would have, right?
There's a lot
Yeah,
of times
yeah,
we
yeah.
get blamed for like bad Wi-Fi reception in the house. And
What?
we're actually building tools to help like analyze your Wi-Fi reception, so you can walk around and be like, what's the strength in
You
this
can't-
corner of my house? Or,
Yeah.
What are you guys gonna do about Wi-Fi? It's like
Well, actually, we
But I
are
do
doing
ask,
stuff.
yeah. So basically, the X5 product, part of that is basically if you use
mesh network. Or?
So yeah, if you use the gateways that you can rent from Comcast, so
Yeah.
that basically XFi is the portal for that. So it allows you to see what's being used on your network, what is being like the amount of data, what is the signal strength, how to fix those problems, and then we did partner with Plumes for that mesh network thing.
Oh, that's
we
cool.
released
That's awesome.
in the future. So
now you guys need to get to my new location that I'm at, which doesn't support Comcast yet. I'll switch.
Let us know where that is. We got to make it right card.
Really? I mean, that'd be awesome because Bright House is garbage. Like, I had problems with Comcast in the past, but Bright House is like way beneath Comcast. So,
Yeah, I think Comcast is really leading the way of changing like how people view cable industry, right? And their customer service has gotten a lot better. Their platform for X1 is actually amazing, like video content.
yeah, I've heard they're streaming.
They got
service.
Netflix now integrated with X1. So
Oh,
you
really?
can
Oh, that's
Netflix
awesome.
for it.
Oh, wow.
We had a few ideas which we're not allowed to talk about, which hopefully will be being built at some
We're
point.
not live.
yeah,
Yeah.
just a Firefox.
Can't mention
It's not a camera.
XYZ.
But yeah,
But,
there's been a real big
That's
push
good.
about like just thinking about the customer all the time, like from the top down.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
in
good.
every
Love
day.
hearing that
Yeah.
kind
And
of stuff.
as we
Yeah,
switch
that's
to a
really good.
technology company, it's all about moving faster, getting better features out,
Yeah.
really helping and empowering the
I've
customer.
noticed so much of that. A lot of communications companies switching from being a communications service company to that's just an aspect of it. They have software
Software.
and content
Yeah.
and things like that.
Mhm.
I think with where we're at today, companies have to address that and then
Yeah.
kind of keep up with where we're going, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if you're not changing, then you're losing. So
Yeah, exactly.
And you gotta change fast, and it's hard to change fast when you have like 29 plus million.
Yeah, what do you do in those
We're
scenarios?
changing everything suddenly,
Yeah.
guys. You
Tomorrow we're
ready?
switching.
Everyone has these set-top boxes, which are different versions. and it's
Yes.
like, oh my
We're turning
goodness.
off phone
Yeah.
and internet for the next 12
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, software I imagine would be complicated on that because you have so many versions. Some can run the software well, some can't.
Yeah.
Some, yeah.
And
Yeah.
hardware as well.
Do you
Yeah.
think Polymer is where you're going to keep going, or are you moving more towards? Are you talking about the elix.org, where you're more native, vanilla?
It seems like web components, we are definitely 100%,
Yeah.
behind that for sure. And Polymer's helping to push that forward. Whether, in a few years, if it's still Polymer, I can't say for sure, but definitely web components, I see no reason why we wouldn't be using web components at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, the answer always is it depends, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the use case? What's the feature that you need? We will pick the appropriate technology for that thing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous to try to predict anything further than like 4 years down the line.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because we move the cursor so much to like, oh, everything should be Polymer, everything should be a component. We're like,
yeah, then it's gonna be hard.
okay, now I'm going on.
So you
like,
gotta kinda balance
no,
it.
no, we don't always want to do that. There's cases
This
where
is really good, but this
something
is
else might be better.
Yeah, exactly.
feeding them.
Yeah.
We can do this without Polymer in some places. And in fact, there's the toolbar on top of all of our sites that we call it Polaris. It's the black bar at the top.
Yeah.
The North
Not
Star.
on that one,
The
yeah.
North
Yeah.
Star.
Not on this one?
Not on that one. So
On
But
which website?
it's
What
actually
dot-
a web
myxfinity.com.
yeah, myxfinity.com, home.xfinity.com, internet.xfinity.com, tv.xfinity.com. Oh, that redirects you because you're not a Comcast customer, so you don't get to see it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ah, boo,
But
Brian, boo.
That's actually a web component that's being used
Ah.
on millions and millions of customers.
I'm a Comcast customer, so I can see it.
So if you go to
Thank you,
my.xfinity, you can
Comcast.
see it.
75, maybe. That would be so nice.
Boy, it must suck
Mine
for
is
you.
25, maybe.
Yeah, and hopefully
Yeah,
sometime
very
next year we should
I
get in
can't.
gigabit service. That'd be great.
Ah,
We're starting to release it in certain cities and
yeah.
pushing that out.
Tell them to get into St. Pete.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
takes
I
time.
want gigabit at my
We
house.
have
so-
horrible service in St. Pete. It's like really, it's ridiculous.
You could always
And we
move.
just had a guy on today who's in Mayaca, where?
Yeah, he's like in like close to Mayaca State Park,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
have like fiber.
They have fiber.
Yeah,
To the state park.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's
Yeah.
a tough problem to solve. You gotta lay the
Exactly.
cable
I'll do
somewhere.
it.
Yeah.
Just give me the cable.
Well, like, do you guys have any? We're getting to the end. Do you guys have any kind of what? Go
Let's,
ahead.
I'd kind of like to know if you guys weren't doing this. If you weren't doing development.
Oh, sure. If you
Nothing
could-
computer
yeah.
related.
No-
What would you be doing?
Yeah, if you couldn't be around a computer, what would you be doing?
So if we were like on a desert island without
No
internet,
desert
no,
island.
no.
Just hypothetically,
Oh my goodness.
you couldn't use a computer. What would you
EMP
do?
wave knocks out technology. What are you
Wow.
Yeah.
It'd be very sad.
I'm hunting and I'm fishing.
It just
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Why? What are we doing?
Yeah.
guys?
No computer.
I
This
don't
is
know.
terrible world
What am
you're
I
putting
supposed
me
to be
in.
doing?
This is all on you, buddy.
Yeah.
Wait, computers are no more. Stop it. Stop it.
That's a struggle. I mean, I've always been into like art, but that won't pay the bills unless I got some fancy person there.
Yeah, I'm interested in like talent acquisition and helping out and communicating and sharing. I like going out and doing public speaking,
You have
and,
to do that without.
but it's all
phone.
with technology though.
Right.
So I'm still teaching about like the latest web development.
Well, I mean, you could still say that. You
I
like
could do
to go
that
out.
without actually being a developer.
Yeah,
hands-on all
yeah.
the time.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I'd be happy doing that. I like teaching other people how to code and
Cool.
you know,
All right. That
more
and hunting.
people who know how to do what I know how to do makes it so that I don't have to do as much.
And,
And I'm like, get as many people who know how to do this as possible.
It's a way to scale yourself.
I like people who are smarter than me.
yeah. Well, it's always good to not be the smartest person in the room because then you could always learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. What about you?
It's tough, man. I mean, same thing. I just love teaching
Hunting?
people.
Oh, teaching.
Not so much hunting. If I'm outside, I'm hopefully at the beach and I'm surfing. So that would be the thing I'd be doing.
Be a surfer. Okay.
Yeah. I'm a terrible surfer, but I love it. So
Well, after a while, you would be good.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
I can't touch a computer. I'm just gonna, go hang on the beach with my family and surf a little bit, play some soccer with my kids, and
Oh.
we're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah,
There
that
you
sounds
go.
great.
Mhm.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, I also have 2 kids too, so
Oh, okay.
I would be playing with them a lot more too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Figure out a
hear
way to
that.
monetize that somehow.
Yeah. I could sell my kids. That's awful. Okay. What are we talking
Who
about?
wants to work in the garden?
Okay, that went weird. So anyway,
I
So-
love my kids.
Yeah.
They're great.
since we're at the end, do you guys have any kind of final words that
Sage
wisdom?
advice?
Yeah, advice. That anything that you want to tell our audience before we check out?
Individually, whoever goes second.
Decouple all the things.
I'm also going to use a D. So I have a big push for demo-driven development, which is what I'm
DDD.
really,
Boom.
DDD.
DDD.
Acronym of the second right now, DDD. So basically, whenever you're developing something, and especially if it's want to be shared,
Yeah.
you want to build demos of it. So every component we build a demo page, and every variation of the components on that demo page.
Okay.
And that just makes developing so much easier because when this component's going to appear on 10 different websites and look 10 different ways, I just
Yeah.
go to a demo page and see all the variations. So DDD all the things, like when you're
I like
developing.
that.
Yeah.
DDD, make it part of the way you develop.
Oh, I love
If
that.
it's DDD, then it's automatically decoupled too, because that component exists by itself,
Yeah.
and you can view it as a demo page, and it exists.
And you kind of almost have
Yeah.
a style guide.
And you just throw
right there.
data
Yeah.
into it.
Nice.
It's great.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. All
Good
right.
job.
Great. Well, thank you so much, guys, for sharing some time with
My
us.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate it. All right. Well, hey, everybody.
Hey, guys.
See ya.
Peace.
Thanks for watching.
All right.